With the year coming to a close, I want to end things off with a video I wanted to have up last year. But I'm a better late than never type of guy. So let's get into it. I haven't played a WWE game since 2K16. And really, why should I? I already have a game with alright graphics, the same controls, and a great roster. Why bother upgrading every year? Well, I've been told that the My Rise stories are actually pretty entertaining, so I figured I'd give it a shot. As usual, I'm going to recap the story, but I'll leave the review portion of the video timestamp below. Probably. First up, we got the Lock story, with our main character Solo making his comeback from my AEW video. If you haven't seen that one, you probably should. Link in the description. But let me give you the basics real quick. We have a former AEW Tag Team Champion who turned on his partner to try his singles career, but got jumped. So he tried joining a stable, only to get jumped again. And then he met a girl who started to give him faith in humanity again, only to have her leave him for Kenny Omega, who then also jumped him. Finally, he made most of the management fear for their lives before ultimately getting fired on Twitter and mysteriously disappearing. Until 6 months later, he came to the WWE. His eyesight magically healed, his tattoo disappeared, and now he's missing both kidneys. But he's ready to start his sports entertainment career. And what better way to debut than in a title match? He really wants to make a good impression after beating the asses out of 3 of his 5 bosses last game, so he's wrestling as the Lock for now. After 7 kicks to the back of the head, we pin Sami Zayn to become the new Intercontinental Champion. There's high hopes for Solo within the higher-ups. They want this man main eventing Mania for the next decade, which doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon, considering he can't even sell out a live event. So like most people in the wrestling community, he takes his frustrations to Twitter, where he gets comforted by The Rock. The Rock tells him a story from his youth, when arenas would chant, "Die, Rocky, die," and he overcame the hate to become electrifying. And he knows that Solo has the potential for greatness too. Screw you and that anime sensei ass speech. By the way, Cena and Batista have better movies. And post. Shawn Michaels tries to help us out by informing us that Randy Orton wants us to form an updated version of Evolution, with him and Gabe. He's been signed for years, but he's never really done much though, usually being in the background of important events. But that ends quickly as we bring the tag titles to the stable. But tensions quickly brew, with Randall overstepping his bounds. Oh, you shouldn't challenge that guy. Stop attacking people backstage. Don't go picking fights with the New Day. The new Hurt Business has a 7-foot giant. Stay away from them. Fine. We'll show him that we don't need his advice or his help. And to prove that, we take a match against Omos.
Coming too. 1, 2, 3. He did it.
Randy, what the fuck? We're teammates. Why didn't you back me up?
I made the call to stay in the back.
Alright, that's how they want to play things? Fine. So the next week on Raw, we storm the ring and speak to the WWE Universe. I may have lost the belt, but in my 6-month reign, I defended it more than Roman did in over 3 years. It's hard to succeed in this company when everyone's out to get you. Gabe, Orton, even the line snort kid himself, Shawn Michaels, because they're terrified of what we can accomplish when allowed to let loose. Shawn Michaels tries to defuse the situation, but Solo's already reverted back to his old habits and attacks Shawn Michaels. So after being fired from the 2 biggest wrestling promotions for assaulting the management, we end up back here, on the Indies. Broke, selling out rundown community centers in fucking Iowa. I started this story with hopes of becoming the next face of the company, but somehow I became the next Alberto Del Rio, domestic violence case and everything. Looks like this is where our story ends. While Solo is off wrestling the likes of Cocaine and Gain, we meet our new protagonist, Myra. Her aunt is a WWE Hall of Famer, Justine. She grew up idolizing her and wanting to carry on her legacy. She gets signed after her aunt pulls a few strings and gets a debut match at Survivor Series, suffering a career-ending sprained ankle at the hands of Charlotte Flair, and landing right into a riptide. You see, everyone sees Myra as a nepotism hire, signed out of pity, and for the following months, she finds herself doing mocap and wrestling on main event, fighting nothing matches and training others at the PC, until our matches with Ava Moreno finally get us on the main show, allowing her to make a name for herself. We defeat former champions and take the offensive, accidentally killing Beth Spartan backstage. We can't let that incident halt our momentum, so we just hide the body in the production truck. Eventually, we earn the chance to partake in the first ever Money in the Bank tag team match, to earn a shot at the women's tag titles anytime. We're going to take our new partner, Fanny, and rule the tag division.
What was that?
Or Fanny is going to get put into a coma and be out of action indefinitely. Tragic, but we've got championships that need winning, so we replace her with Ava. We put our differences aside long enough to win the briefcase, and soon enough, the tag titles. It isn't long before we run the tag division, becoming the most dominant women's tag champs, running through every team on the roster. So many, in fact, that we had to go after the retired teams and attack the Bellas to send a message. With all the competition taken out, Justine tells us to turn on Ava like she did when she used to partner with Molly Holly. Despite this, we stay loyal to Ava and lose the belts, meaning we get to work our way towards the SmackDown Women's Championship. But during a contenders match for the Elimination Chamber, reigning champion Piper Niven cost us, so we attack her backstage, ending with Ava committing vehicular manslaughter. Ava gets suspended for obvious reasons, meaning we get to take her place in the Elimination Chamber, making it to the final two, where our last opponent is revealed to be that bitch Justine. She was cleared to wrestle months ago. Instead of telling us she wanted to team with us like a normal on, instead she killed Fanny and tried to turn us against Ava. When all that failed, she came here to pin us for the belt. We're both reasonable adults here, so we take our problems to Justine's podcast, letting her know that we intend to force her back into retirement for that belt. At WrestleMania, we hit Justine with a pink eye infection to win the belt. Better not try anything funny at Thanksgiving when I walk in and whip this beauty out. It fits perfectly. Unlike I did with you and those love handles, couldn't even get it around your waist, could you? While WrestleMania goes off air with Myra disowning her aunt in a sold-out arena, we cut back to Solo, who's hit an all-time low. He's truly lost everything. His car, repossessed. Penthouse, foreclosed on. His phone, broken after a homeless guy pissed on it, so now he can't even take bookings. With nothing left to lose, we go crawling back to the man who trained us, Tavish. He reignites the flame Solo once had for wrestling. He says that since he beat the abuse charges with alleged footage, we can get back in the WWE. He signs us up for a tournament where we easily make it to the finals with our new finisher, the One-Winged Angel. That rat bastard K Omega stole Riho while we were in AEW, so it's only fitting that we steal his finisher. Our last opponent is revealed to be Tavish himself. I can't fight him. This man is like a father to me. I'm just screwing with you. We hit him with the One-Winged Angel and win the tournament. We're on a roll and we're not stopping there. We conquered the globe. Japan, Mexico, Canada. Call me Johnny Cage because I'm feeling like Mr. Worldwide. Now it's time to set our sights back on the WWE. They won't give us a tryout or return our call, so we storm NXT UK and issue an impromptu challenge for the Heritage Cup, winning and evacuating the building before security tries to take what's rightfully ours. And just like that, look who comes crawling back. We get signed back to the company on the condition that we return the cup, and Shawn Michaels ups the stakes. If we can't win the WWE title before SummerSlam, we get fired. Again. But here's the twist. While we were away, Gabe became WWE champion. Well, I'll be damned. I guess I should start calling myself Hard Times. The way I breed better men. He was a nobody in this company before me. I taught him everything he knows. He'll get squashed like the bug he is. There's just one teensy problem in the way. He is being defended by Evolution and the revamped Hurt Business. So we do some recruiting. Our newly formed stable consists of the man who single-handedly ended racism, Cody Rhodes. Obviously, he's the only person to have beat us fair and square in our entire career. And I was originally going to go with Edge, since I've always been a huge Edge fan. You could say I've been edging my whole life, really. But since he's no longer in the company, I went with AJ Styles. And our frenemy from Japan, Chosen. We take on the Evo Business and War Games to earn a title shot, and Shawn Michaels attempts to thwart our attempts at winning by having Gabe drop the belt to Randy Orton. You mean to tell me this whole thing started because of Gabe and we don't even have the option to get revenge in the end? What kind of Last of Us 2 storytelling is this? The day of SummerSlam comes, and Shawn Michaels' interference allows Gabe to sneak into the ring, and he turns on Randy. Although, just to be safe, we put Randy through 2 tables before hitting him with a One-Winged Angel to put him away for good. We let Gabe know that we're coming for him, and celebrate in the ring with our team, when our story officially ends. I played this game too much while getting footage for this video. It got to the point where it started affecting my mental health. Like the other day, my cousin came over, and was like, "Oh my god, Solo, it's been so long." She goes to give me a hug, and my first thought was quick, before she gets her arms around you, reversal into a German suplex. Then a while before that, I was watching a movie at a friend's house, and while he was setting up some speakers, there was a voice in the back of my head yelling, "Curb stomp him! Do it! Do it now! Curb stomp the son of a bitch! Curb stomp him to hell! Now! Do it!" If things keep going like this, I'm gonna be putting someone through a table real soon. I never really played through the career modes in other WWE games because I just assumed there were gonna be some shit afterthought. But the My Rise stories are surprisingly well written. I like how they managed to make the 2 stories polar opposites of each other. The Lock is an indie guy that management has high hopes for, and the Legacy is just a nepotism hire. So seeing how these opposite paths play out is entertaining. It would have been nice to see some more overlap with other minor characters from one story popping up in the other, but the My Rise mode is easily the highlight of this game. However, a good story can only take you so far. The game is a 6 out of 10 at best, because aside from the story, there's nothing new. The gameplay is pretty much the same it's been for a decade, and while the story was great, the side quests are more time-consuming than enjoyable. If it wasn't for the stat increases, I would have never touched the things, because they're all almost one of 3 scenarios, one-off matches, several matches with the same person, or partner with someone, and then ultimately end up beating them. It gets really repetitive, and what frustrates me even more is that they have this giant roster, and it feels like they're only scratching the surface. Like, put me in a storyline with the Invisible Man, or Japan's least favorite wrestler. I'll even take Doink the Clown, just give me some variety. There's who knows how many people on the roster, half of which you'll never see because 2K would rather you fight the same created character for the 7th time. And to add insult to injury, they ruined the soundtrack. I remember back in the good old days, playing SmackDown vs. Raw in 2009. Every song got you hyped. It got you ready to slam people through cells, beat up people with baseball bats. Whatever you wanted to do, the soundtrack kept that energy high. And now they got Doja Cat. No offense to her or anybody else on the soundtrack, because it's not even that the songs are bad, because they aren't. It's just they don't fit the vibe of the game. It's like if you were watching a John Wick movie. You know? He's going up an elevator, getting ready to wipe out an entire room full of mercenaries. And as soon as the elevator doors open, you hear Sabrina Carpenter playing in the background. It just kills any and all immersion you had in that moment. And lastly, there's one thing that needs to be addressed from 2K25 onward. And quite honestly, it's a serious issue that's in dire need of fixing. They need to add the green shirt guy into the game. This man has been front row at every show for as long as I can remember. It feels wrong not having him at ringside. Like I said in the beginning, I got this video out a year later than I intended, but I wouldn't mind looking back on some older wrestling games. I know the hype for these types of games usually die out pretty quickly, but revisiting a bunch of games with alright mechanics and memorable faces doesn't sound so bad. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, please. I got kids, I need this job. Or don't. Either way, I'm gonna head out later.